Hey guys and gals, this is Dal here from the Voices of Terminus show, and today I'm just kind of making a quick video to introduce some of our swag gear that we have on sale at our website at www.votstore.com. Go ahead and check it out. These are some of the products that are available, and the first one here I have is the Crusader mugs with the Voices of Terminus Crusader mug logo. And then over here we have the We Will Build a Wall, a great wall. The elves will pay for the wall and the dwarves will build it shirt. And these come in small, medium, large, extra large, 3XXL. So go on the site, take a look, and you can order these. And then over here we have the Dire Lord mug, which are our Voice of Terminus Dire Lord mug logo. And they're a nice 16-ounce bistro coffee cup. So these are ready for order and shipping. And we have more stuff on the way. But thank you very much. Thank you guys for your support of our show. We really appreciate it. And have a good day. Hey everybody, and welcome to Voices of Terminus Show 24, the Archai discussion. I have Yarnella with me and Lexar today. How is everybody doing out there? Tired? Alright.
Yep.
It's hard to believe that we're on show 24. So we'll go ahead and we'll kick this off. We're going to discuss the Archai today. So,
User joined your channel.
Who wants to start? And we also have a late arrival. Lex, would you like to start out?
Well, I think first we should probably go over the description of what we have on that race so far. Then we can kind of speculate on it.
Who wants to read it?
Don't matter, man. Let's go ahead and we'll throw it off and kick it off here.
If no one starts it in 5 seconds, I will, and I guarantee it'll be painful for everybody.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and start then. On the Archai, okay, just give you kind of a general. On the spectrum of uniqueness, the Archai come from second only to their neighbor of the Gnomes. But in sharp contrast, the culture of the Suroa is as vibrant and strong as massive crystals and ores of its geology. Devout and sincere, the Archai bodies manifest their environment, their ethereal energy bounding with natural elements at a very young age. This permits the Archai to grow a bit larger than a human or elf, but not suffer in agility quite like an ogre. Loving celebration and battle almost equally, the Archai are positioned well to ascend in the frail age, should they choose. So, very interesting. They like take on the environmental energy around them, it sounds like. Is that how you perceive that?
Turn up your mic, please. In your settings.
My settings. Am I too quiet?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see here. Don't know why that'd be low. How about there, folks? Is that better? There's always got to be some sort of technical difficulty. Good? Does that work?
That's better, yep, better.
Much better? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bump a couple more just in case. All right, so did everybody hear what I said in the last bit, or do I need to reread that or repeat that?
Let's start over. Let's be safe.
Start over to be safe. We will be safe. Okay, on the Archai, on the spectrum of uniqueness, the Archai comes second only to their neighbor, the Gnomes. But in sharp contrast, the culture of the Suroa is as vibrant and strong as the massive crystals and ores of its geology, so I assume that's their homeworld. Devout and sincere, the Archai bodies manifest their environment, their ethereal energy bonding with the natural elements at a very young age. This permits the Archai to grow a bit larger than a human or elf, but not suffer in agility quite like an ogre. Loving celebration and battle almost equally, the Archai are positioned well to ascend in the frail age, should they choose. So that's kind of my perception of that line. So what do you guys think? Lex?
So basically, I'm going to gather this is going to be considered another large race.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, if I take EverQuest as another example, as I always do, you know, with EverQuest, certain armors can only be worn by large races or medium races or whatever. If we see something like that in Pantheon, this could be a very important factor for a lot of people starting a new character.
Okay.
So I'm guessing large race. It's very interesting with this whole geology, almost like elemental theme that they're going on. From the description that we've read so far, it sounds like they're going to be good at a very wide variety of classes. Probably good at a multitude of different melee styles, possibly tanks, possibly even rogues, or maybe even a ranger. So it'll be very interesting to see how they progress.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds very different. You know, what's your take on them?
Well, they definitely have put a twist to it. If you look at all the other classes out there, or in general classes, they've added that little twist with the elements to it as well. So, and I like the fact that they don't lose any agility, even though they are a very tall race. They seem to be one of the tallest races out there. So it's definitely a really interesting twist to it, and the lore is just fantastic behind them. And I just can't wait to find out how the elements or the environments are affecting them.
Yeah, it sounds really cool. I mean, the way they say that they take on the kind of the elements around them in their environment, like the aura or something, the ethereal energy, I should say, and it bonds with their bodies at a very young age. So it makes it very unique because, the story behind them, we can kind of go over that here shortly. But yeah, it's kind of neat though that they're almost close, almost as large as an ogre, but they're not going to suffer the agility like an ogre would. So that is definitely different.
I'm speculating now, but I got a funny feeling that depending on what energy you choose will influence your class as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a funny feeling that depending on whatever element you're going to choose to have your body be infested with, will be dependent on what kind of class you can pick up on.
Okay.
And
I wonder if that, like the element that they take too, is it going to help them in the atmospheric environment? Like, say they take on a hot element like lava or something like that, or the ethereal energy from lava. Will that allow them to travel the desert without any penalty or something like that, perhaps?
Oh, yeah. Not to get off topic as usual, but Kodiak's having little issues. I think he needs speak permissions.
Okay, I think Yarnell can grab that real quick for us. So I'll go ahead and I'll talk about their tale, and we'll kind of get some more information, background on the Archai. So,
yay, I can talk now.
Here's their tale. Okay, torn from the ancient crystalline planet of Roa, so that's obviously their homeworld, is the planet Roa, and it's crystalline. The Archai were originally created from another race of pure magical energy called the Aoan. These innocent beings were tragically deconstructed and recomposed by the vile followers of Roa's dark celestial lord and bred as a nation of slaves. Thus were born the Archai, a name bestowed by similarly oppressed alchemic builders to honor the lost lineage of their ancestor Eowyn. This desecration wrought new race with unique abilities. However, Archai were able to graft in the elemental nature of the region of Roa, where their life of slavery would begin. When water, fire, wind, or any mineral is infused into the young Archai, their weaker arcane core acclimates according to those inherent properties. These manifest in the magnificent open striations of markings and textures, whether of flame, liquid, heavy vapors, or even precious metals and minerals. This election takes place in the childhood of the Archai in a devout ceremony called the True Birth. Yet the Archai heritage is not one of enslavement, but valor, uprising, and celebration. On Roa, they waged a clandestine war of liberation, billowing into a nation of indomitable warriors and overthrowing their captors to utter defeat long ago. On Terminus, they are renowned for their culture of endurance, poise, intrepidness, as well as robust legacy of jubilation, song, and display. They are said to entice danger, like sport, while their people thrive on a widely diverse island realm of Suroa, which means little home. So that's kind of the background story. So, Kodiak, would you like to go ahead and inject on that, since you arrived?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. No, I just think they're gonna be like a good, elemental type race. I think they'll be good for like shamans and stuff like that.
Okay. Lex, your take?
Well, I think it's very interesting when they're talking about how their arcane core acclimates. This actually, in my opinion, opens them up to doing a lot of things, up to and possibly even including, say, a more in-depth storyline for that racial decision, so that maybe you can change, your personal racial perks. Maybe you can pick them. Who knows? It also almost leans to the fact that with the mana climate, it might even affect that. I mean, I think it's a very interesting possibility to hook racial traits into an environment system. Difficult to pull off and difficult to balance, but it would be very interesting. And I mean, that right there, although I'm personally a fan of the Scar, these guys would probably be my second choice for a race, just because of they have me so captivated by what could be with this race.
Cool. Yarnilla?
Yeah, it's definitely really interesting. I mean, it gives, by the sounds of it, they can go a long way with this race, especially with the their core being influenced by elements and stuff like that. And from the reading of it, I have to say they sound almost like a neutral race. That even though they were slaves and they like battle and stuff like that, they almost sound neutral, as if they try and stay out of everybody's way, and only if they get bullied on or attacked and everything is when they will start to fight back. They sound very neutral to me.
Okay. I have to say they sound really unique and interesting, especially being able to bind with the ethereal energy around them. That makes it really cool. But also, it sounds like their past, coming from slavery, they are ready to. I think they're going to be a people that are going to actually get along. I think with everybody else around them, as long as you don't mess with them, because they were enslaved. So they want to be as free as everybody else. So I don't think they're going to hold really any grudges against the people on Terminus. I think they're going to be more an open, type of race, amongst the other races. I think. It's going to be a really unique concept, though, with the ethereal energy and be able to take it as a character and create it at the very beginning of creation to choose whether it's going to be like a lava infusing or an ice infusement, or air or water, something to that effect. So somehow that might, because we were kind of, playing with this idea a little bit, a couple of discussions back, how pros and cons to the different races to even make the characters more unique for everybody to play. I think that's going to make it definitely unique, especially if they bond like the mana climates or the atmosphere into them.
Another interesting thing as well is the fact that they said any other mineral they're infused into. The question is that going to impact the crafting as well? Are they going to be,
Yeah.
have any influences towards all the different kind of metals and minerals and stuff like that?
Yeah,
I mean,
go ahead, Lex.
even in that respect, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can go with this. Like, say, if they were to put it towards a crafting benefit, it could even be something as minuscule as like how, excuse me, like how WoW had kind of like the radar on the minimap for ore, like tracking your ore and stuff.
Mm.
Maybe they have a longer range because they can just kind of sense it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I know we say there's a lot of possibilities with almost every race that we talk to, because in all honesty, there is a lot of ways that they can take this because they're not really providing a lot of information at this point. But this race, the Archai, I feel are just by far the broadest spectrum of just options they have. You can just go anywhere from sticking to the elemental to going maybe more towards the physical, because they're a creature of both. And just, I'm almost chomping at the bit and foaming at the mouth to figure out what they're actually going to do with this race.
And plus, it gives us, or VR in general, because we know so little at the moment. If they can keep it as little as possible, they could go so far further deeper into the lore over time with expansions, etc., and make them an even broader, more interesting evolvement within their lore. I mean, the way I read it with them as well, the Archai are not one of enslavement, but valor, uprising, celebration. They sound almost they have a very posh background behind them. They seem to be very proud of themselves as well, even though they've been through, a very bad time of enslavement and stuff. So they seem to have a very strong. What's the word I'm looking for? They're self-aware. They're self. They don't shy down from anything.
I'm trying to think of that word, what you're looking for. But yeah, I think you're right. They tend to be a very proud people. Like, they're proud. They made it this far. They survived the enslavement process. They fought battles to get there and liberated themselves from like their captor. They also come from, like, it sounds like they're kind of experimented on too, from what I gather from the reading. So they're proud to escape all that, and now come to a point in their history that they celebrate their warriors. They can stand tall and proud amongst the other races and know that they can actually defeat their enemies if they have any. But I don't think they're out to look for a fight. They're more to defend themselves and take care of their people and trying to live freely amongst the other races, is what I'm gathering kind of from their history. So
kind of like a don't stop the party unless we have to kind of
exactly, because they've been kind of abused. If you look at it, it sounds like they've been abused, they've been enslaved, they've been experimented genetically, whatever it is that, the gods where they came from, their planet, they were screwed with really, really badly. So they have a profound respect and not to screw with anybody else, and they probably hate to see other races get screwed. So I think they're the more open race that will actually come to your honor and defend you because they have a lot of valor. So that's kind of what I'm seeing.
If you look at it, though, I mean, the last sentence just says it all. They are said to entice danger-like sport while their people thrive on the widely diverse island realm of Soro, which means little home. So I think as well that they don't see themselves as individuals. They see themselves as one happy, huge little family.
Yeah, collective nature.
Yep. So they look out for each other and take care of each other, help the young, and watched over them. And
true. Yeah, Coach has got a good point too. He says, from their lore, a robust legacy of jubilation, song, and display sounds like a good bard race, which it does. It sounds like these guys might be the bard class carriers when they do bring out the expansion, because I believe the bard and the necromancer will be in the expansion, like later after launch they were talking about.
I don't remember if they actually specifically said an expansion or shortly after release.
Post-launch.
Post-launch, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, either way, I'm a fan of the Necro, so I can't wait for it.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, they sound very unique, so it's definitely different most games out there right now,
They
from what I can tell.
they almost sound like what you would expect from halfling or a hobbit style race, where they're just more worried about, having a good time.
Yeah, true. Yeah, almost like you could be imagining like they're the halflings there in what's it, the hobbits. The hobbits there when they were
Yeah.
partying on, before they took off on the big journey, the quest. So yeah, I guess I could kind of see that too. So, but yeah, the crafting ideas in the way you said it, like they haven't released a whole lot of the lore, and they really haven't given us too much. So they could actually tinker with, say, for instance, you pick at the creation, you decide to infuse your Archai with iron. Now that gives you a really a positive crafting ability to play with iron and be a blacksmith. So there's some unique things that you could actually do with this and play with if they want to take it to that level. Because they really haven't released a whole lot about crafting yet. So that would be kind of a unique and interesting way too to give it like a crafting bonus or something based on your ethereal pick at the character creation. Would it not?
Also interesting as well is the fact that the elements themselves. Let's say, for instance, now you have a fire imbued Archai. Does that make him more resistant towards fire, or stuff like that as well? So it's definitely there's so much they can do with this race alone. It's endless.
Yeah. Well, it's like if you were to look at another race, and I'll just pick a random one and just say ogre. Not a whole lot of way you can go with that storyline if you were going to do a race-specific storyline, because they're just trying to restore themselves. With these ones, you could do anything from they branch out to get more solid grasp on their own identity, or maybe their old oppressors come back. There's just maybe there's some kind of elemental plague that you have to help cure. There's thousands of things you could do with this race, and if they do happen to do racial storylines, the Archai are going to be my first alt. Hands down.
For sure.
Because I want to know where the story goes.
Yeah, it's very interesting because now we got gnomes from outer space as well, and now we got these guys come from a whole different planet that were slaves. So yeah, it's a really interesting storyline that you could go behind these guys in the races and where they can take this. They leave themselves open to a lot of opportunities. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this goes for sure, definitely.
You could even go and if you look further down the road, let's say expansions or whatever. What about the possibility of actually mixing elements?
Yeah, that's a possibility too. Like
that's interesting.
Yeah, mix silver and gold, for instance, or something.
Yep. I'm not going to say it would be something you could easily throw in there from a developer's point of view, because there is a huge risk of imbalance with that. Whereas it's like your elements, you just know exactly what they're about. We start mixing and matching stuff, you get issues. Things get a little murky.
What about?
But it still would be very cool to see if they could balance it out.
What about looking at it from the perspective of Kryptonite, like Superman?
Yeah,
maybe it's something. Maybe it's something that's their death as well. Maybe
the adverse, the pros and cons.
The pros and cons basically.
Or you can do with the progeny system. So like if your dad was infused with fire and you're infused with water, but you might take a fire trait along with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that idea a lot.
Yeah. So
because then it could build upon you and give you a real good reason for using the progeny system. And I know a lot of people out there are like me, where you're like, I am my character. Retiring my character to me is almost heartbreaking.
True.
But if you give me enough reasons, I'll certainly consider it. I'll probably do it just because. That also means that my first character or 2 or 3 or whatever might not be me, kind of thing. But it would be very interesting. And although I'm not really a huge fan of the progeny system, I would like to see a little more come out of using it. Give me a reason to use it. Make me feel like it outweighs cutting the ties to my character. Like I get so much in return, and doing something like that would certainly make me sit there and go,
What about
just do it.
What about using that system, and then let's just quickly touch on that real quick, the progeny system. So let's say you reach that era, that time where you can to your progeny. Instead of you just handing over stuff, what about your character that you're going to becomes an sentient being, a god, like, a pantheon, an actual pantheon within the game? That would give it more diversity towards it as well, give you a meaning why to go up. So your main character has gone up now into the heavens, is now a god of some sort, and maybe gives you a special ability.
Yeah, that'd be interesting too. Ox had a question. He was wondering whether there are going to be more hostile outside races. He's approaching it from like a war-torn group and battle-hardened, and now they are free.
Right.
Well, I don't know. What do you think, Lex?
Going back to my EverQuest roots, the Ixar have a very similar past. They were enslaved and, bred to be slaves at one point from somebody, and then they got their freedom and basically went on a war path. And this feels similar to that in a lot of ways, but instead of being bitter at the world and trying to conquer everything with their freedom, they feel more like, we suffered, we won our freedom, let's enjoy life.
Yeah.
And that leads me to believe they're going to be extreme, like neutral in the extreme sense of it, where it's like you could have a gnome and an ogre fighting on your doorstep and be like, as long as you don't touch my shit, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
But because they have a warrior past and warrior upbringing, the minute you start to step on their toes,
that's when
their gloves will come off. There will be no, don't do that. It'll just be like, they'll be partying, and all of a sudden, swords out. Time for you to run because you done messed up.
Yeah, that's.
I see it a bit different. Not so much like that. The way I see it is that because of their enslavement and everything, and because of their valor and everything, their upbringing, they're more of the, we've been through a lot, and we don't want this to happen to anybody else. So they're too proud. I don't see them more as a violent race. I see them more really protective, and if you harm others weaker than you, will get involved, kind of thing.
Yeah, and they could absolutely go that way. I could definitely see that. Kind of like the whole, you're in dire straits. Come to us. We'll take care of you.
Yep.
Yeah, kind of thing. And I could absolutely see that.
Yeah, the last bit of the lore, too, the way they say this line here says, on Terminus they are renowned for their culture of endurance, their poise. So they almost sound kind of like rich, too. Like they've actually built their little home place. They're very rich, and they're very proud of, their being, because they came from a crappy past. So they really want to make themselves on display, too. They have a robust legacy of jubilation and song and display. So that means they really like to kind of throw it out there that, hey, we're super badass because we won our freedom. We're awesome. They are said to entice danger like a sport. So because they're so, they were so successful, but they're also kind of like, we can fiddle with danger, if we want, because we're awesome. We made it this far. We're tough. While their people thrive on wildly diverse island realm of Suroa, which means little home. So I don't think they're out to really get anybody, but it's a mix. I think they're very proud.
Down.
They're
neutral. It's kind of like a push comes to shove, we'll handle our own.
Exactly. Like if
you
mess with us,
they do come off as very regal.
Yes, very regal.
They're almost like the prime candidates for a crusader. If you go look at a crusader from the paladin-esque view, very much I am there for the people. I'm here to enjoy my life, have a good time, but I'm also here that if you need my help, I'll be the first one to step up and be like, I'll help you, and they won't feel bad about it because it's just who they are. So, and I know it sounds odd coming from me that I'd be even half interested in this race because of that, but I am. I mean, they sound cool. The lore sounds very rich, very refreshing, and they look awesome. I mean, there's no way around it. They look like almost highly advanced humanoid golems.
So
that's cool as hell to me.
I got a question though for you guys to throw it out there to spice it up a bit. What do you think their home's going to look like?
Well,
my interpretation, like their town style or their cultural style. I think we're going to see a lot of glowing stones to represent elements. Probably an awful lot of stonework versus metalwork.
Maybe liquid metal.
A lot of crystals, maybe.
Crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be like striations in the masonry work or whatever, any of the structures. So it'll be interesting to see. Maybe I don't see them as like a mix of different styration colors, but I see it like one single type of color of styration throughout their builds or throughout their architecture that means something very important to them. So, maybe like say just an example, only like a blue hue. It's throughout all their buildings and their stone masonry or something like that with maybe a dark granite color or something like that.
Right.
That would be
I
kind of
also
cool.
think we're going to see
Very regal.
probably a cultural style of waste not, want not kind of thing, where you're not going to have a lot of this extra furniture around, a lot of extra decorations. It's probably going to be very, very simplistic, but very elegant.
Could also be based off the elements as well, depending on what family, what element this family has, or have endured from. Maybe that will be the coloration of that certain particular building, for instance.
Yeah, there's a couple out in chat. Superman's Crystal Fortress. Use of purples and blues, not
that might be a
warm
little
colors.
far.
Ornate styling with stone and other materials. Yeah, that's what I see. Like, it's very ornate. They're very regal people because they're so proud they are free. So now they can just build their city the way they want. It's this immaculate place, this home.
Well, if you just look at the imagery though as well, the clothing they're wearing, it looks very elegant and very well thought through as well. It's a dark black and blue with
very
I'd say
regal.
a bronze on it. Exactly. So they seem to know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean they almost come off as their own form of nobility.
Yeah, kind of Romanesque almost in a sense too. How the Roman soldiers and troops, everything was just very detailed and ornate. So that made them even more intimidating looking when they're on the field of battle. So yeah, I could see that.
And I can also agree with a lot of stuff that's going on in chat in terms of the cultural style. Probably be an awful lot like the Draenei from WoW, but probably less high tech gizmos and such. So if people are familiar with that style, think of that, but only a little more simplistic, like dialed back a bit. And I think we'd be pretty close to spot on.
Yeah. But what about their settlement? Where would it be? Even though it's going to be all nice and posh and everything, would it be more underground or above ground? What do you think?
Well, they like to display, and so they like to be on display and show, kind of rub it in your face almost a little bit. It sounds like. So I think it'd be above ground. I think they're going to impress everybody, the fact that they've taken something like, say, the elements from below ground, and they've brought them out to the open to show the world, this is what we can accomplish. We've accomplished our freedom. Now look at our magnificent city, our home, where we live. This is us. So
I could definitely see something like that, or maybe like built into a hillside or something like that to kind of merge them in with the elements. But again, that as much as I say it, I kind of doubt my opinion a little bit, because it's not like they're dwarves, where they live underground, but there is that affinity with the elements. So it's like, it's almost a flip of a coin. It could go that way or not. But I'm tending to lean towards not the more I think about it.
I'm going to say it's a mix, basically, that they're going to have their enriched culture, their high, their higher people, the people that are keeping the law and everything. I could see them being deep within a mountainside or something like that to hide them away from danger, per se, and have everything else presented on the outside. So I'd say I'm going for a mix here.
Yeah, because if you look at on the Archai and the lore too, it says they're second only to their neighbor gnomes, but in the sharp contrast, the culture of the Suroa is as vibrant and strong as the massive crystals and ores of its geology. Devout and sincere, the Archai bodies manifest their environment and their ethereal energy, bonding the natural elements at a very young age. So I see them using a lot of like like I said, crystals and a lot of this styration throughout their architecture. So they're going to bring a lot of that, I think, to the surface just to put it on display. To show the world what they've done. That's how I see that. Like they really want to stick it to you in a sense, because I mean, look, they just escaped their captors, they won the battles, they're fierce, and here now we want to party, we want to show a city of greatness and show that we are a true people, and don't mess with us and don't ever try to enslave us again, because now you have us to really mess with.
Right. And I mean, I know there was a message here in chat about floating structures in the air from Auxilian. I don't think we'll see that. I mean, you could, because of their elemental-esque nature. I mean, you could, but I don't think we will, because with the gnomes being in close proximity and us more or less knowing there's going to be a floating ship city for them, I feel having more than one floating area might come off as a little more sci-fi-ish than they would prefer. I could be wrong. It's just kind of how I'm viewing it myself. But if we do have any like magical bound floating elements, we might do that in like lamps or just little things in decoration, not so much on the large scale in terms of cities.
I think that it would be like big caves with caverns, with crystal caverns and stuff. That's what their main hub's going to be. But they'll have like outlying caves that go outside with like colorful huts that have like bright crystals, stuff like that.
Or
go
ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. I could also see, like I said, the city's on display on the surface, but then you could do the really deep, important architecture below ground. The important where the actual ceremony takes place, where you actually infuse into the element that you want to infuse into their body, the ethereal energy. So maybe the very important structures are below ground. The dearest of their heart is underground, but their ultimate display is up on top of the surface.
Yeah, like the High Council and stuff like that.
Because dwarven architecture is clean lines, whatever. They're not going to have any of that crap. Even though I think that it should be underground, since they are like elemental beings. That's where
Right.
I'm trying to figure out how we could, embrace the lore here on them. So I'm gonna spit the ball there a bit. So let's say, for instance, now these elements. Let's say they have this massive, huge crystal from each element underneath the ground that they need to keep on feeding and stuff. Maybe that could be part of the lore, something that's their kryptonite. So if that gets taken away from them, that they can't gather this energy, they could be a dying breed.
That's not. Well, excuse me. That's a very good idea too.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But they don't. Maybe they don't eat regular food. Maybe they eat crystals.
Maybe.
Hey.
Maybe they just absorb energy or something. I mean, who knows?
Captain Crunch with crystals. Peanut butter Captain Crunch with crystal berries.
Because this is what I've
like that rock monster from Neverending Story or whatever.
Yeah. This is what I've missed from MMO or past MMOs in general. It doesn't matter if it's the new or the old. Is the in-depth storyline within a race. Actually going through again and again and embracing on the story, the lore behind them. I would love to see this happen in Pantheon. That's again and again you will get put into the situation where you get deeper into the lore, and you have to follow up on your heritage. And the way they're approaching this, I can see this actually happening now. That the lore of your race is going to be a very strong part of your adventure going out.
What if they can change their crystal infusion just like you can change mana stones?
That's a pretty cool idea too.
Yeah, to adapt to the environment that they might be in or combat.
So if they're in a certain zone, and maybe just like druid circles are all around the world, maybe in a zone there'll be like an orange crystal, and all they have to do is go feed off that orange crystal, and they absorb that power. In another zone, it might be a purple crystal, and they absorb that power. Another zone will be a different crystal with a different attribute, maybe something like that.
Yeah, but it could also go the other way around, though, like I said, with kryptonite. So if you're a red crystal and you're in a zone where it's a purple crystal, that might influence you negatively.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vice versa. But the being able to adapt to the elements, because that's ultimately what you are, being able to plan ahead and say, hey, I'm going to be fighting in Everfrost or whatever frozen tundra, so I'm going to infuse my body with a fire crystal, so I don't have to take any of the negative hits of the tundra.
Dark Soul Omega had a really cool idea as well. So if the elements are fragments of their planet, like Krypton, when couldn't part of their story be reclaiming all parts of their homeworld? So basically, maybe they're split out throughout the continents, and
quest.
you have to go out and as an epic quest, you have to go out and get their pieces back together for them to
find
actually
all the different shards.
Vive into the actual culture that they want to be. That's actually a really cool idea.
Yeah. Or you could see that as like an epic.
Expanding on what Yarnella was saying, one thing that I really have always been disappointed in with every MMO, even the ones I love, is that they all, even like I'll use Guild Wars 2 as an example. They had this whole living story thing where the world can change based upon how players do in events. Well, that's all fine and good, but I mean, your home city is going to change. Yeah. Your race, either like if say we'll take the Ixar's River quest, how they were decimated by a war with the dragons. They obviously in 17 years they haven't bothered to rebuild. Really?
Yeah.
No, I mean things change. Everything changes. A lot of games get hung up on adding more areas, more areas, more places to go, but they never change where you've been, and that's what makes a lot of games feel stale. Take these lore, take the lore from races, turn them into quests, and actually have the race advance, for good or for bad.
True.
Doesn't necessarily have to be on my decision making or how I perform. Just make it feel like my race is doing more than just sitting there going, oh,
it's like
how nice.
It's like what they did with EverQuest 2 when they had the expansions. You had to go out and build like the teleporters to the new zones and stuff. So similar stuff to that. Have us have a quest where every, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 levels or whatever, or 30 levels, and where you have to go out and do something for the city to advance it, bring it up to the next level, like the Age of Empire, where you go through the normal age to the industrial age to the, I don't know, whatever, and go through the ages, so you can actually see the cities evolve, or your city evolve over time.
Well, not only that, but also you can learn the ancestral of your race, and you can introduce maybe some old ancient weapons that they used in the primal time, or or something like that.
Yeah. Well, it's like we'll take the gnomes. They're a highly advanced race. They are Crashland or something on Terminus.
They're so advanced they don't even need their bodies.
At the peak of their technological prowess. They're going to have to build themselves back up. Maybe the humans and the gnomes started, a trade agreement. Well, now the humans can advance a little more. I don't want to see stuff like all of a sudden you've got humans flying around on, jet-powered horses.
Yeah, that would be not cool.
Make it feel like the world is actually conversing around me.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Instead of expansions, just adding more levels and more zones, make expansions change the zones for either the positive or negative, whatever the server's done.
Yeah.
Or what we have done as as the community throughout the world, whatever events we've successfully or unsuccessfully unlocked. I mean, if you think about it, we are now currently in the frail age, and the frail age says it all, it's frail. So
everything can fall apart.
It can fall apart, or it can explode into something really cool. So I'd love to see more interaction throughout the cities themselves, and more race lore behind it. So I always want to be connected to my lore behind my race, no matter what I do.
Yeah, it'll be interesting on where they can go with this, because they've left themselves open for a lot of neat paths they can choose to take. And then going back to what Dark Soul Omega said, something about, well, they're a race of coming from slavery, would they enslave anybody else? And actually, from what the lore says, the Archai heritage is not one of enslavement, but valor, uprising, and celebration. So yeah, I don't see them imposing slavery on any other race or being vicious. I really think they're really trying to be kind of that neutral party, but at the same time, they can hold their
Look
own,
out.
or they can go out and help others.
Look
Yeah.
out for the weak, and
Yeah.
if you're a bully, we're going to bully back.
Which I could see them being crusaders for sure, crusadery. So, cool. Let's see. What else do we want to talk about on these guys? I know there's more.
Well, what about classes? What possible classes would they might possibly?
Crusader for one.
User in your channel timed out.
I mean, would
User
summoners actually fit?
Can you say that again, Lex? For some reason you cut out on that one.
Because they have a history of enslavement. They don't believe in enslavement themselves. Why? I mean, could you see a summoner? I mean, it would make sense because they're elemental and it's almost a kinship. But could that possibly be seen as enslaving the elements? I mean, that's
I would see it more
center
as
down the line.
I would see it more as controlling the elements than enslaving the elements.
What about going down the road instead of going down the path we're going down now with elements being what they are, elements? What about giving them the possibility? I mean, if you look at it, a ranger's not going to really have elements, but let's say, for instance, now they could be a ranger, and depending on what element they have, that kind of gives you a slightly different play style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think they're going to be any evil races. They're going to be more good to neutral races. They're going to, you're going to have your warriors and your rogues, stuff like that. But as far as like crusaders, shamans, maybe druids, don't really think cleric because they sound more tribal than like godly.
Yeah, they come from a rough background.
I could see them being a monk as well.
Yeah, monk. Yeah, probably for sure. And you could take on different. Oh man, if you could take on different elements as a monk, and per different situations.
Yep.
Yeah, you'd be pretty badass.
Because that would kind of give it that this different appeal to it. So you have this monk Archai in your group, and you have this monk, let's say human in this group. But this monk Archai has a slightly different appeal to him because he has this different element inside of him, depending on what element he has. So it's going to give you a slightly different way to approach the monk in general compared to what the human would be.
Well, it's even take it if you had two that were the exact same race, but one had a fire chi and one had an ice chi or whatever, the damage output would probably be different against the same mob.
Yep.
Yeah, true. True. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, let's go and speculate. So let's go and say. So Dan, what classes do you think they're going to have?
I'm gonna say from based off of the lore, a crusader, warrior, monk, possibly rogue because they did a clandestine liberation of escaping slavery, and I'm gonna say summoner. That's what I'm gonna say. Those 5 right there, those classes, because they're playing with elements too. So that's what I'm gonna say.
You, Lex?
Well, I'm also going to draw on the fact that most of the devs that come from EverQuest here, with a lot of the class restrictions in EverQuest, they left every single race with Holy Trinity. Every single race had a tank, had a DPSer, had a healer. So here I'm going to take that same approach. Warrior, absolutely. Crusader, oh yeah. Dire Lord, nah, I doubt it. Monk, I think that's iffy, but probably. Bard, absolutely.
Yep, definitely.
A thief or a rogue style, probably. I think we could see a shaman. I don't actually think that we're going to see many ink casters with these guys. That's just my opinion. That's not to overlook their elemental affinities. But it's just to say that it's probably unlikely given that they have so much physical prowess and they've really not touched on in the lore anything about their intelligence. So my speculation
and they've been enslaved. If they had magic and they were slaves, they probably would have Anyways, if they were like wizards being able to nuke for hella, it doesn't meet the lore. It doesn't match the lore.
Yeah. Well, that's my take on it.
All right, then.
I don't really think we'd see any druids though, because they're not really naturists.
Yeah.
Ass.
Well, I was thinking like, okay, so like when you said that about like a rogue, well, because they're maybe when they sneak, maybe they can like kind of blend in with the walls of the caves or something, like something cool like that, you know.
Yeah.
Monk would be cool if they, like I said, if they could infuse different elements for different combat situations. That would be kind of cool. Shamans, I think for sure, because they're supposed to be elementally. I think as far as magic is concerned, as far as casters, I think summoner would be the only caster class because they're basically able to control their elements, just like they can, they're infused with elements, so they should be able to control it. And maybe they get a buff for whatever element they're infused with. Maybe if they're infused with fire, their fire pet does more damage or something like that. Warrior, of course, because maybe they can, be more hard, more sturdy. They're supposed to be a little bit more agile, so maybe they dodge a little bit more than other warriors. I don't know. There's some thoughts.
All right, for me, it's Crusader, Warrior, Monk, Shaman, and I'm going to have to say it, guys, I'm going for Enchanter. I think Enchanter will be one as well.
Yeah.
Elementals, being to enchant them. And I actually do think that maybe the Druid, only because of the elemental aspect, because it would kind of put a really interesting twist to it.
Yeah, but elemental's different than nature.
Yeah, true.
Don't forget, it says environment.
It
says environment, though, doesn't it? It's the environment.
True. That is very true.
That's true.
The only thing that I would like to add is like with the enchanter style charms and stuff, that could be considered enslavement. So that one would be the only one that I'd be really iffy on.
Yeah, I don't think mine can. That's what I'm saying. Like, you got to think if their background is they were previous slaves. Do you really think they would be learning enchanting? Maybe they would be able to control their own masters, and I don't think that would work well with the lore.
Going back to it though, with the lore, it says they were in manifest their environments with ethereal energy because they were played with, It says here they were created from another race of pure magical energy called the Aeon. These innocent beings were tragically deconstructed and recomposed by vile followers of Ro's dark celestial lord and bred as a nation of slaves. So could they have taken some of that magic from that? Because it almost sounds like they're being enchanted in a sense too, if you think about it, because you're mixing the elements with their physical being, their body, the ethereal energy.
Right.
So maybe I could see that being enchanters. Maybe not a summoner, but maybe enchanter. That's kind of what I was getting in the magic class, but then I didn't really go back to the lore. They were tampered with by enchantment. Their bodies were enchanted with the elements around them. So I could see an enchanter class, to become quite honest now, instead of a summoner, but more of an enchanter.
It's like I said, the only thing that really has me kind of wobbling on that one is just the whole control thing. But again, enchanters aren't necessarily a control class. They're they're a crowd controller class, but they're not charm centric.
Well, let's look at it this way. Let's say they use the enchantment not to harm you, but to keep you away from harm.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I could definitely see that. It's not even like, in the end, if they Visual Realms comes out and says, these guys can be, primarily casters with the Warrior and Crusader. Honestly, I'd look at the lore and be like, you can still justify all that, but you can still justify the fact that they're primarily melee people or whatnot. So this particular race is incredibly flexible, and there's really, you could spin it any way you want because you've got that almost metaphysical side of things, but then you've also got the physical side of things too. So it's like, oh God, let's taking all bets. Which way are they going to go?
I just think that if they were enslaved by magical beings, that they're not themselves going to be very magical. Yes, they might have a little bit of magic, but not, because the magic was infused in them, but not as far as being able to conjure their own magic.
Well, with their freedom of an escape, the lore could be written to where they can actually learn the enchantment and how they were tampered with.
That's true, and that's how they're able to continue to make their own people too.
Yeah,
and maybe they need the enchanters to hold the crystals together.
Yeah, it's a possibility too.
That's a good way to justify them too.
Yeah, this race, I'm really excited to hear more about this race. This thing can go any direction.
I definitely could see more of enchanter because of the ethereal energy. They learn to harness and control it, after they escaped and got their freedom, because how they continue to create themselves and being able to choose their bidding of their different ethereal element.
Well, let's see.
So
Now,
that would be through enchantment, I would say.
A mommy and a daddy. No, I'm just kidding.
No, they're infused with it
They get together
afterwards.
and make a little pebble.
They're infused with it afterwards, not during the conception phase.
So, since they talk about it being done in childhood,
It's ceremonial
when you pick
too.
your element, the ceremony you do and everything, I would actually I think it would be pretty damn cool if you start off as a child somehow, and you work yourself through the first, I don't know what, 10 levels
Fable?
or something.
You mean like Fable?
It's something similar to that. So you reach level 10, and all of a sudden you choose, you finalize on the path you actually want to go, and then you become the grown-up Archai.
Yeah, like level 10 or 15, you become
like
a young adult now.
like an
Then
intro.
you have to specialize in it or be infused in one. Maybe you can switch around when you're low levels, but once you hit a certain level, you have to pick one element to be infused with or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that could just be part of your life cycle. Like, you start off, as a little, we'll just call you a little golemling or whatever you want to call them, and you go through, you have to pick one element because that's just, this part of the story is this is just part of you now, and as you get older, you become more attuned to the elements around you and can swap it whenever.
Maybe you go through a process of learning all about the elements from the start, from the get-go.
Yeah. So there's a lot of ways and paths they can follow with this, and kind of tie in some new stuff to lore to fit a class with the race. It sounds like they could do that. But yeah, I think we're all in agreement, though. We see Warrior, Crusader, definite. Those are two most definite classes that we see with this race.
Only because they're selfless,
Yeah. So healing, I'm not so sure because they don't worship any gods or goddesses, from what it sounds like.
That we know
but it
of
seems like they're
anyway
very tribal, though. They're kind of tribal, so that's why.
Yeah,
that's the reason why I say
that was the only
shaman.
reason why I lean towards shaman.
Yeah, me too.
Over a druid, but I mean, honestly, either would probably work. I really expect from these developers that we're going to see every race has the full spectrum, or at least the Holy Trinity available to the race.
Yeah, that's a possibility because I mean,
you got to think about it as well, about their law. If you think about it, they were enslaved and everything, and they broke free from that. Somehow they're going to have some kind of healer to help them along. Well,
each race has to have some type of healing class. Yes.
Yep, exactly. Because otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to break free. They would just got rotted out. They can't look after themselves. That would have, even though they have a Crusader or Warrior, it might be a fighting class.
Unless
you
they
get
had
hurt,
more Warriors and Crusaders, then they're all right.
Yep.
Yeah, I would even because we're talking about them not having a god or whatever, so maybe even take Crusaders away from them and just have them being like warriors and shamans and more tribalistic type classes.
True.
So monk, shaman, warrior.
There's a good point
monk,
in
shaman,
chat that
warrior.
we can't really expect Crusaders if they don't have Clerics, because
That's why I just
Crusader
read
is
that too.
technically a
That's what I
battle
was
cleric.
thinking. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it makes perfect sense. So, I mean, because the lore is pretty bare bones right now, it'll be very interesting to see if more information is released down the road about their gods. Because I mean, maybe they do. We just don't know.
Yeah,
And
Maybe
it's
they are.
now.
Maybe they are druids and shamans, but not clerics, because they don't believe in gods. They believe in nature. They believe in elements. They believe in the world, the earth.
It could be
that.
something. It could be something that's later on added to the race itself. Like they find out throughout their adventures about their once god and everything, or healing and stuff like that. So they could always add on to the races themselves and give them options to hey, you can actually become a Crusader now, because if you look in our deep heritage, we found out some more information along the line. I mean, that's what I would like to see, is not just have your typical, let's align these Holy Trinity classes to this, that race. Give us the option to actually go out there throughout the race lore and maybe find out a little bit more about our race that might reveal something that we can then later on maybe unlock the possibility of, hey, once we were, crusaders and clerics, or we were whatever.
Okay. Getting back down to the tail here too, because we might be overlooking something too, because we read over the lore, but we might have missed it. And it's always good to kind of go back over it. It says, torn from the ancient crystalline planet of Roa, the Archai were originally created from another race of pure magical energy called the Aeon. These innocent beings were tragically deconstructed and recomposed by the vile followers of Roa's dark celestial lord, and bred as a nation of slaves. Thus were born the Archai, named bestowed similarly by the oppressed alchemic builders to honor the lost lineage of their ancestors Aeon.
Yes, there's another word. They said alchemist.
Alchemist. Yeah.
That just, like I said, that just makes me think shaman.
Right. Alchemic builders.
Yep.
And their lost ancestors of Aeon. So, and it's a race of pure magical energy called Aeon. They were originally created.
And they might see them as their god.
So, and their magical energy of pure magical energy called the Aeon. So they do have magic. So they have magic there. But they were tragically deconstructed and recomposed by the vile followers of Roa's dark celestial lord, and bred as a nation of slaves.
It could have also been that basically the Aowen maybe tried to teach them about magic, and that's why they were deconstructed, so that they don't become so powerful, or so have so much wisdom within them. Maybe that's part of the backstory or whatever.
Yeah. Yep. It's like desecration wrought the new race with unique abilities. However, the Archai were able to graft into the elemental nature from the region of Roa where their life of slavery would begin. When
Ninja reads the best daddy.
When the water and fire, wind are mineral
I'm the best daddy. Ninja read the best daddy.
I want my $20.
Will it count if I say you're a beast daddy?
So
you are the best daddy, Ninja Reed.
You're the best daddy I ever had.
Will you be my daddy?
Yeah.
Will you be my papa?
So where's that $20, brah?
Yep, there's a button underneath the stream where you can pay
Just hit that button right there.
Hit that button.
I demand it in pennies.
Start dropping those 20s right now, papa.
I don't want your filthy money.
Make
Probably
it rain.
for a crusader.
Okay, so but it says here too, when water, fire, wind, or any minerals infused into the young Archai, their weaker arcane core acclimates according to the inherent properties, or according to the inherent properties.
So it takes over, basically.
Exactly. So it adapts to their environment. So that's interesting as well. But this election takes place in the childhood in a devout ceremony called the True Birth.
Sounds almost painful.
Could be the True Birth. Maybe they're dunked in a tank of molten lava.
It almost sounds. To be honest, it almost sounds like. Is it Panem? Film Panem? Tribute to Panem, whatever it's called, or Divergent, the one where they pick those different elements and. That's the
different classes, you mean?
Yeah, the different colonies or whatever.
Yeah,
society.
Yeah.
Almost sounds, almost like that. They go through this painful choice, and then you're stuck with
like
it.
the rite of passage type thing.
Yeah,
And then once you have done your spirit walk and you get your spirit animal, that's what you're stuck with.
Yep.
I see Kodiak's really trying to push shamans on these dudes.
Well, I actually do see.
I read the lore. That sounds more shamanistic to me. That's all.
I agree. It does sound more shamanistic to me as well. But even though they don't support the spiritual side of things, but we don't have enough information to really say yes or no.
Yeah, but
so given what we have, we can only just say
when
it
they
looks
say
like it is.
Alchemy, when they say tribal, when they say all those other things, minus spirit walking or whatever, right? Because they don't have a.
Who says that they have to go exactly down that path with that class or anything. You know, a shaman could still be a shaman with the spirit parts to it for a human or for whatever, but maybe for the Archai it's without the spirit.
Yeah, maybe they
still
take
be-
they
possible.
take a hit. Yeah, they take a hit on those
Yep.
spirit abilities.
with
Because they
this-
are spicing things up. You know, they've got a whole new identity towards the approach of the races and classes to some point. So why can't they just change it up a bit? There's nothing wrong with actually going down different paths and taking a different route.
Right. With this being a whole new IP, a whole new universe, I would actually prefer to see a little like I do like to have some commonality to what I'm used to. Some, not a lot, but I would also just as much like to see twists like that.
Mm.
You know, because
Yeah.
let's face it, if you have a cut and dry caste system or class system or whatnot, however you want to define it, it feels cut and dry. And I
Well, it could
believe
be-
that the gaming industry has worn that out.
Well, it could
Mm.
just
We
be if you
need
pick this
to-
race and you want to be a shaman, then you have to go learn the shaman.
Do a special
Yeah,
quest or something.
Yeah, you have to do a special
Yeah.
quest so you can learn the spiritual side of what you're trying to be. You know.
Yeah. I mean, like we'll say the Archai, just complete speculation and talking out of my ass here. We'll say the Archai are a good race. Who's to say I'm me as a Dire Lord fan, because I'm an Archai doesn't mean I can't be a bad person.
And
So-
another thing is though, like Dow's already said, he's touched on it. The Eowyn magical were of pure magical energy. So technically, if they were of pure magical energy, so they're an entity, they could have also had the ability to actually see into the spiritual world because they are of pure magical energy. So it's still a fit, definitely.
Yeah, I see it. I see it could be. I mean, it could go that way. I mean, enchanter, shaman, it could go that way. Warrior. Yeah. It's
How
there's
about
some openings there?
you know they're supposed to have like different weapons against different body types or whatever, but because they're like a clay or golem type thing, maybe they you know slashing weapons or blunt weapons or something affect their being hit by. Just like bone, you're supposed to use crushing like a mace on bone or a sword on flesh. What do you guys think about what weapons maybe have a higher effect against them,
Well,
or take no effect?
they're infused
Well,
with magical ethereal energy elements.
That's a really tough question.
I'm
I
I
gonna-
think they've actually got a pretty tough skin, to be honest. So it's going to be hard to cut.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm gonna say they're gonna be a little bit brutally. They might actually have more hit points, probably. I would say because just their makeup. I say magical do a lot of damage to them because they're magical energy. So that can be disturbed. So I think they're gonna
yeah.
be less resistant to magic.
And more
So,
resistant to physical damage.
Yeah, resistant to physical.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm seeing.
The
it.
lore would certainly support that.
Mhm.
Where
I mean,
it's
if
like
you-
they are magical in a sense,
Yep.
but they are more physical beings.
Yep.
So if
they're
you
more
have like a
physical.
fire, if you have
Mhm.
like a fire Archai who's infested with the fire element, so obviously you've got to use cold on him because that will drain his flame.
Mm. Yep. True.
Yep. Now, touching on what we already talked about, it would be very interesting if they were to remove class restrictions to races completely and do almost like an introductory quest that helps you build your character the way you want it without any kind of restriction. It's just your quest is how it's justified. So you're an Archai, you take all the evil paths, so because you want to be a Dire Lord. You just have to be very upfront with you do this is what could happen kind of thing, because you don't want to run into a spot where someone goes, I wanted to be a warrior, but instead it only let me be a Dire Lord.
Yeah, but
No, I don't.
But it
I
would be
don't like
interesting.
all races being all classes. I don't
No.
like that. I would rather
no.
have
There's-
specific lore-driven
Exactly.
race class
There's
combinations.
got to be racial boundaries where they're stopped because of their makeup. I mean, you don't have ogres becoming rogues, do you? Really?
Yeah,
That's
otherwise you're
sneaky.
just defying the lore.
just doesn't. It just doesn't.
Hey,
I
big
mean,
bucket,
I
you-
can understand, people wanting this opportunity or this choice, but I'm sorry if I'm gonna have to be tough on this and say, look, you might like the Archai and you want to be a Dire Lord, but the Dire Lord's
bad.
an evil race. Tough luck. You have to
Yep.
choose somebody else. It's that
Yeah.
simple.
And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that's where it ends up.
Yeah, because I go back
Not to say I'm super disappointed, because I'd only really choose that kind of like a really off combination for an alt.
I go back
That's just me. It would be more of a novelty than anything.
Yeah, I go back to the simple acronym: keep it simple, stupid. And plus, it's the developers' rules, and it's their world, and it's their lore, and they're creating it, not my position to create how the story is supposed to go. And this is what everybody
Because
should
if you
be
start off down that path, then
Yeah,
the
you
next
got a
thing's going to
mess.
happen. Then the next thing's going to happen. Well, I can play every class, no matter what race I am. Now I want to be the player.
Yeah,
I
then
wanna be
yeah,
the
they're gonna
guy.
pick. Yeah, they're gonna pick the best race with the best class with the best gear with the best. There'll be a cookie
there's
cutter.
gonna be that stupid
Yep.
cookie cutter
Yeah.
thing, and it gets
There'll
dumb.
be a flavor of the month.
Yeah.
Exactly. Bingo.
Yeah, I don't want that. Did you guys talk about, because I missed a huge chunk because of work, but like evolving, like going from water to ice or fire to lava or something like that? Different.
We touched on something
touched
like
on that. Like
Yeah.
but we
basically
kind
having
of linked
them.
it with the progeny system.
Yeah.
That and
Got
the
it.
environment too. The environment affecting you if you choose
We're
at
going
birth.
from rock to granite. Maybe if you're
Yeah.
a warrior, maybe you're infused with rock, and at level 30, then
What-
you can advance it to like maybe a granite or something, a harder
Exactly.
rock.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
Advancements. So you start off with the simple element, and then you, depending on, let's say you have to go on a quest, and then you gain up to the next element. So you start off with silver, then you can go to gold, and then you can go to diamond or whatever, and that gives you either more resistance or a better understanding with the elements in crafting, for instance, or like Kodiak said with rock, you start off with basic rock, so you've got lesser hit points, and you go on to granite, you got more hit points, you go on to, I don't know what the next one would be, but you have the next level of elemental rock,
And there's
that
like a
strengthens you.
ceremony, and there's like it's like a huge thing. It's like like you said, like a rite of patches. It's a long quest that you have to not long per se, but it's a lot of shit to do and as part of the quest. Then you go back into that little crystal cavern where all the head priestess people are, whatever, and you do this ceremony, and you're infused, and all the magic's coming from the from all the crystals, and anyways.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and ask some questions out in chat. So chat, if you got any questions related to this particular racing game that we're talking about, go ahead and throw some ideas out there in chat if you like, and we'll kind of discuss them, mull them over with you. Give some of your thoughts out there. I know we've been talking a little bit and trying to pull from the audience here, so go ahead and throw some stuff out there at us, some ideas that you've been mulling over, listening to us, banter and brainstorm here. So throw some out, please. Please do. We're trying to encourage your participation. And while you guys are thinking, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw up our news article. Okay. And today Pantheon released this. If you had to write a letter home to your beloved ones, what would that letter say? So now that's...
I said, Terminus is beautiful. That was my answer.
I'm going to send it back to the Nomus planet of, Europia.
It wasn't Dear Brad.
No, it wasn't.
Dear
No,
Brad,
that's
please
only
let me
when
into
I
Alpha.
stream. That's only when I stream. When I go onto the Dear Brad moment.
Yeah. Patch notes, boring technical mumbo jumbo, or must-read insights. I actually like patch notes.
I like reading them too.
Yeah.
I love them.
I like to know
see
what-
the anticipation of fixes.
what they
I'm like,
fixed.
oh, cool,
or,
that got changed. Oh, or that got changed. Or what did they do that for? That's stupid.
Yeah.
And plus, it gives you the opportunity to, give feedback on those patch notes and say, look, guys, it's great that you. That was a bad idea, though. Yep, exactly.
Yep. Or this was an awesome idea. Thank you.
And plus, that could be something that they do. Then, like we had with Landmark Live, they come onto a show and they talk about it. Woohoo! So,
What I really hope is that they release their patch notes early.
Yep.
So that we see what's coming, and that because I always used to hate it when on patch day, you see the patch notes in the patcher, and that was it. And it's like, Okay, so
It
I'm hearing
always
about
gave
this
me
now
something
after
to do
the
while
fact.
it was patching. That's while it was updating. I always read the
Yeah.
patch notes. Gives you something to do while you're waiting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. It
So
does.
did I. But
Yep, while you're
well,
patching.
for me in my very specific and unique situation, I have games patching behind the scenes when I'm working.
Yeah.
And if I'm spending 30 minutes reading the patch notes now because they're only available in the patch or on the forums, and let's face it, I hate forums. They're so 1990. But
Yeah, but the problem with releasing them early is then that's when you get all the why are you doing this and
Yeah.
da 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 and all this da da whatever. It's like nope,
Yeah.
this is what fixed. Deal with it,
well,
and then the next,
that's the thing. You're not. It's like when people used to get angry with WoW patch notes and all this stuff in the guild that I were in, it's like, well, you're not a developer, you're not a designer, you don't see the big picture. Have faith or go away.
And the thing is,
What I used
we
to
all
say to
know
them.
people are always going to be angry, no matter what.
Yeah.
There's always going to
Oh,
be
yeah.
something that they're going to be angry
Oh,
about.
yeah.
So
I mean,
how
they're
you do
angry-
it doesn't
you
matter.
can't please everybody.
Yeah, they're angry about us too.
You can't.
Yeah. Everybody
They're
hates
always
us.
angry with us.
But
Everybody
for
hates
me,
us.
but for me, I prefer to have them early because that way, I can go get before I go to bed every night. I'm reading. That's
All
just
right,
what
then.
I do. I can
I
pull out
mean,
a tablet.
I
I can
swear
read the
to-
patch note.
I'll make you a deal, Lex, right? I will actually go and approach Brad and have Brad book to Brad and see if he'll get the patch notes for you early whenever the game comes out.
Will he
Just for
deliver them
you.
to my door?
No. No. That will not happen.
I'll have beer waiting for him every time.
Yeah. Okay, and the next news thing let's go on is do you prefer mob leashing, or once you aggro a mob you either kill it or die or zone?
I think
Right,
it dep-
I need,
I
I
would
need
like
some clarification, guys, on that. What the
I would-
hell is
Oh.
mob leashing?
Okay,
mob
leashing
leashing.
is when you basically run out of its range and it resets.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah, I hate
So
that.
I
kinda
think
like
it
it's
depends
on a
on the
leash.
mob.
It only
I think
goes
it
so
depends
far.
on. I think it depends on the mob, really. Like a
Yeah, a
wolf's
mix.
just going to keep running after you, or something.
I
You know
like
what I'm
to say
saying? The
mix.
animal instincts. If it's a guard, right? A guard has on his post. Well, he's going to chase you off and then go back to his post. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it really depends on the mob.
I'm going to say
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to say I don't like the leashing idea. I mean, it has to be very minimal if they do put any type of leashing, but that's World of Warcraft where you could sit there and whack and run away and all of a sudden it stops and resets. My personal opinion is if you stab it, you break it, it comes after you. It's mad.
Yeah, I mean,
Or you
let's
scared
face
it away.
Someone walks up to you on the sidewalk and just randomly slap you in the face. You're chasing that son of a gun down.
Yeah, you're going to kick
I
his
mean,
butt.
there's no way around it.
Yeah. Unless he
So-
gets on a motorcycle and
and
Yeah,
drives
to me-
off.
but if he stabbed you, you're hurt, so you're not going to run after him.
Yeah.
True.
I hate
You're
leashing.
hurting.
I'll probably go, please help me.
I could see them playing with this too. I could see them maybe say
A mix.
there's some mobs. Yeah, there's a mix. Say there's some mobs that are guarding an entrance. Those guys aren't leashed, but the dudes that are inside on top of the towers might be leashed. So they'll come out at a
Yeah.
certain point, but then they go back to protect the fortress.
Right.
But the other two guards they're hightailing after your butt, and they're going to come down and smoke you.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I
like-
could see
like-
them
it would,
doing
it
stuff
would
like
make
that.
more
It's like,
sense.
it's like in England.
Yeah.
It would make more sense to do a mixed because then you have guards who are actually trying to actively guard something. They leash
Yes.
back.
Yeah, that makes
But-
sense.
For me personally, if there's leashing in a game, I exploit the hell out of it. I'm not even going to beat around the bush. I exploit it.
Well,
I
also
fight stuff
maybe
that's
it
way
also
beyond
has to
me.
do with the mob's demeanor too, right? So like
Right.
when we were talking about like cunning and like aggressive and whatever those different ones were, right?
Behaviors. Yeah,
Behaviors, right? So if like I said, if it's an intelligence mob or whatever, like it knows like, hey, I'm not whatever, I'm gonna let him go. But if it's like one of those brute, stupid mobs, he's gonna keep chasing you forever because he doesn't know any better.
And plus, if
Right,
if they mix it up, you're never going to know. You're going to
Yeah.
go to this gate, and you think, the guards, they'll run after me, so I've got to be careful about
Here's-
them. But this time they might just stay still.
Yeah,
You
here's,
never know.
here's a mechanic too they could do too. Here's another mechanic. Oh, last time I pulled these two guards, they ran after me and smoked me. But then you could go back and then kill one of those guards. One could run after you, the other one will stay. I mean, they could really make the spawn kind of jump on it, so it's a random spawn. So you never
Yep.
know who's going to be leashed and who's
Exactly.
going
Right.
to be coming down on your butt. So
Right, and that would add more towards dynamic gameplay. which
Yes, it
I'm all
would.
for.
because it make
Yep.
it different.
But if I was a
tactics.
developer, now if I was a coder, what I would do is you hit me with an arrow, you hit me with a sword, or you cast a spell on me. as long as I'm within a certain distance and it'll make me feel like I can catch you, I will keep chasing you.
Mm-hmm.
If you outrun me, I'm going to give up because like you're halfway across the zone because you got some crazy speed buff. I ain't chasing your ass.
Yeah.
Hell no. I'm going to go back.
Yep.
True.
That's what I would do.
True. Yeah, if you outrun his aggro range, yeah, that'd be interesting. Okay, so the next one is help us get to 3K followers, and we'll throw some of our internal testing patch notes into the next month's newsletter.
The last time I looked, 120 were needed, so hit it.
Go hit it up, guys. Go to Twitter, follow Pantheon VR.
Well, you know
get
that Lexer already made like 17 accounts. That's why he's going to get beat up by a large-breasted
I'll do
thing.
3
So he
more
needs
accounts.
to just, he
Well,
just
I've
needs
got-
to take those 17 fake accounts and start
I've
following
got
Pantheon.
how many? I don't know. I got plenty. I
Just
have
because
loads
I
of
can make
accounts.
bots doesn't mean a damn thing.
Okay.
Well, that's the only reason why large-breasted barmaid won was because
Okay.
all Lexer's
Yes.
bots.
So time
But-
to see Lexer die. So he dies. Well,
Yeah.
28%.
Now, here's the thing.
24.
Here's the thing with those testing patch notes.
What?
That's actually very exciting. Maybe it's just because I'm a developer myself, but this will give you an idea of what they're currently working on,
Yeah, true.
how things are developing.
Exactly. So
So
folks
there
follow
is-
it.
These
Some
testing
tidbits.
notes are actually a window of what we can expect. That's
Some
why I am just like,
opportunity.
Yep. So if
I want
you've
them.
already followed them, just make another account. Call it an
Yeah, that's
alt,
what I'm
and
saying.
then just
Everybody makes.
put it, just bang it on there. Get them to 3K followers, and then we all get some nice testing patch notes. You see what they're actually doing.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead and follow 'em, man. Get out there, get the information. You'll get some cool screenshots. You'll see some good information. They ask some questions, which are actually questions that they're mulling over in their heads in the development phase. So they want to get your input too. So this is an opportunity for you folks to follow them on Twitter, give some input because they do read them. Believe it or not, they do read your input.
Yep.
Kilson is
And
always
they will
on the
converse
ball.
with you.
They
They
And
will
won't
plus-
converse.
completely ignore you.
And
They
plus,
will
if
talk
they
to you.
if they do that, that gives us something
To talk about.
additionally to talk about on a show.
Yes. More speculation and brainstorming and all kinds of cool stuff.
We get to actually talk about testing patch notes, which would be
Yes.
interesting.
And Lexar dies again. Kilson
Yep.
Train. Killed by Crusader.
kill-
Dragon fight.
Yep. And Kilson Train got wiped out.
Yep.
And
by
to answer Swarty
30%.
real quick, he says you got to keep having killed by Crusader on that list. I'm sorry, mate. If Crusader would have won, it would have been on next week's list. It's only the actual winner that goes on the next vote. So unfortunately,
Even if it won, we knew it was a lie anyway.
Crusader's out of the picture, my friend. I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
you'll have to see what happens next week.
Yep. By large
Crusaders have a hard time
barmaid.
killing
So
bunnies. What would they do against some that can fight back?
I think. Oh, and the reason why he gets killed by the large-breasted barmaid is not actually he's paid her and is hanging out with her. They actually were conspiring with the Black Daggers at Black Dagger Keep, and they actually betrayed him and stabbed him. So just so you know. So as much as you
I
like
ain't
to
gonna
die
lie.
in between the breasts of a barmaid, it didn't happen that way.
I ain't gonna lie. That's
I might
my
add-
kryptonite.
I might add death by toothpick next week or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, for sure.
Death by
He
Ottoman.
ate some bad chili.
Yeah, right. He had some
We-
bad chili.
We've already
Death
had
by
him die.
dysentery.
We've already had a rat.
Dysentery. Dysentery in the Black Dagger Keep. He drank that
I
bucket
was
of
actually-
water.
I had a few other ideas I was going to bring up there, like talk to death and stuff like that, but I just thought it didn't fit. So
Okay. But yeah. So anyways, chat. Do you have some questions or anything out there you'd like to talk about? I mean, I don't think I missed anything. I know Lexer's been paying attention and watching too.
Well, they were talking about like the wolves and stuff. Like if you shoot an arrow at a wolf, it's gonna run away. Versus if you go up to it and smack it in its face, it might be more aggressive.
Yeah,
know.
true.
well, it depends. If you're an ogre and you punch a wolf in the face, it's going
But
to
what
think
if it's
twice
a
about
dire
attacking
lord?
you.
A dire lord wolf or a dire wolf? Then it's completely different.
Well, I
It's
think it would
gonna
have to be
gnarl
like
you.
a rabid. It would have to be like a rabid wolf if it was
Yeah.
actually going to be attacking somebody.
But hang on, I got one for you guys. What kind of mounts? What kind of mounts could you see the Archai on?
A mount.
Mounts, yeah. What kind of mounts could you see them riding?
That's a good question.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean,
Without more
I would
cultural
think, like-
information, I don't even know if I could give a
I would
answer
think like
I would
Avatar.
stand behind.
You know the movie Avatar?
Mm.
I would think
Yeah.
like cats and like the rhinos, but with the wide heads, type mounts with the 6 legs, maybe.
I think we're definitely going to see something unique.
Yeah, I have to say stay away from dragons and flying mounts because flying mounts make you fly over content, and I agree that you just miss a lot of crap if you have flying mounts. So no flying
Yeah.
mounts.
What about
I
another
wouldn't
one
even
for you
entertain
then? Armor. Depending on what kind of element they have in there. What
Lot
about
of
that
jewels.
imbuing your armor automatically, so it adds a bonus to your armor, or a disadvantage?
interesting.
I think that the less, maybe visually, like the less armor for that class, because like I said their skins should be really tough
Yes.
anyway, so they don't need like full plate or
Mm-mm.
if they have, I think like a barbarian where they have like a shoulder with maybe a chest strap that comes across, something like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
the image
yeah,
that
some
they
dragons don't
provided
fly. Yeah,
on the
okay, I gotcha.
website for the Archai really doesn't
But no
lend
flying
towards
dragons.
that full plate kind of thing.
Yeah, I just don't think. I mean, because their skin. I mean, they're
No,
made of.
but this was just in general. Having that armor, depending on what they're going to wear. I mean, they could still wear a, like a half
yeah.
plate armor thing.
Half plate or whatever you call it.
Just the idea of having the element
Baywatch,
that they're wearing,
like Baywatch,
imbue,
like the buoy across the chest,
yeah.
like Baywatch.
Automatically imbue the armor, so it gives it either a bonus or depending. Let's say, for instance, now we go out into a dungeon and I find a piece of armor that's got a fire, is imbued with a fire element, and I put it on, but I've got ice, so it's going to have me either as a disadvantage or it might push my fire resistance up a bit.
I could see maybe the Archai driving crystal spiders.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one. I didn't think
That'd
about
be
that one.
really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they found them in the caves or whatever,
Mhm.
or maybe some ants.
Crystal spiders. That's what I could see. Crystal spiders.
Giant ants.
Yeah, or ant mounts, like a crystallized ant or something. Something that'd be very unique. That would be kind of interesting for a mount. Just to throw some ideas out there. So
what
I could
kind
definitely
of
see modelers having fun making those.
what kind of racial
Awesome.
attributes would they be? Would be most fitting to
Bugs.
them? So like wisdom, strength, stamina, agility. Obviously, agility is a big part of them. But what of those elements or those stats?
Yeah,
would be...
that's why I say more wisdom than intelligence. So I would say
Right,
wisdom,
going from-
strength, constitution, stamina.
crystal centipedes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Based
could-
off
Agility, they're
class
gonna have more
selection.
agility than the other large races. It said,
Yes, they have a lot of agility. Maybe they can run
Yeah.
fast too.
Well, we know for a fact they're going to have higher than average agility
Yeah.
as
So yeah,
compared to the other large races.
Mm-hmm. So
Not
right there, that gives
necessarily
you
on
your
the
answer.
grand scheme of everybody, but
Mm-hmm. True. So they're going to take less hits. They're going to be a little bit more agile.
yeah. And I believe it says something about they have higher than normal endurance, so maybe they'll have like a constitution style stat that'll be a little higher than normal.
True.
Strength is most likely going to be in there since they're talking about warriors and such.
Yeah. Dark Soul Mega
yeah,
says
that's what I said. Strength, stamina, constitution. Because they were slaves. They were
constitution, strength, yeah.
workhorses.
Yep.
Mhm.
Right. Sounds good. Cool. Yeah, I don't know what else. I mean, they could have like Alaska Malamutes running around. That could always work.
Yeah, I would just like, as far as like clothing look, maybe like how when we were talking about maybe like leather, but like with crystal buttons or something, like crystal straps that hold the leather together.
Yeah.
Mm.
That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, some magical stuff like that. Constitution and stamina are the same though? No, they're not the same.
You could
Constitution's
generalize them
more
and
of
they
a
would be the same.
strength. That's more hit points when your Constitution, right? Gives you more as you level, technically. So stamina
Well,
is more of
Constitution has been like back, we'll say, years from now or years ago, people would talk about their own personal Constitution as a reference to their health.
yeah, health.
So that's where
And stamina is more
could be
endurance.
considered
Yeah,
like
endurance.
your ability
Thank
to
you.
run very far.
Thank you, Dark Soul.
Yeah.
Yep, cool. So, Any questions, man? Folks, throw some ideas out there. Spit them out. We got a little bit here. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and we'll start wrapping things up here, so we don't bore you, because we don't want it to be a boring show. We have fun brainstorming on here, but occasionally we might drag it out too long. So throw some things out there, some ideas. If you'd like us to discuss them right now, we will do that with you here in chat. So please, this is your opportunity to talk about the Archai and what you've heard just talking with us. Is there any ideas? Throw it out there, because Lex is definitely looking.
No, Shaman, we didn't miss it. We already hit on the racial quests. We didn't miss it.
Oh, the disclaimer. Jeez, did I forget the disclaimer?
Yep, you forgot the disclaimer, dude.
Ladies and gentlemen out there, Voice of Terminus here, Dal. I'm here to give you your disclaimer. All right, disclaimer. We are speculating. This is not the true end of the game or stuff that's going to be implemented. However, we are brainstorming, speculating, theory crafting, giving out ideas, because the developers do watch our show. We have been mistaken in the past for developers at one time before people started to get to know our show and know us. The devs watch. They take ideas, suggestions. They even ask suggestions or ideas on their forums. So please pay attention to that. Follow them, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. But yeah, just remember, we're speculating, brainstorming, theory crafting, giving out ideas, our opinions, what we think could be happening. You're more than welcome to join us on our show and give your opinion or some ideas you'd like to throw out there. So remember, we are just speculating.
You can join our Discord as well, catch up with us. If you want to talk to us about anything specific or whatever, join our Discord channel, for Christ's sake. It's open to everyone to join. Talk to us, get an insight from the general VOT crew itself and the guild behind it. We're cool. We don't bite.
Yeah, we don't bite. So please join us. I mean, we have TeamSpeak. You're more than welcome. You don't have to come on camera. I mean, I give you the opening. It doesn't mean you have to put your face on TV. If you don't want to have your face on TV or stream, you can actually talk to us on our TeamSpeak.
Do we have a Discord command in the channel for a link?
I don't know.
We do if Hydra mod is working.
That's a big if.
And I haven't seen Hydra mod do anything today at all in the stream.
Yeah, it's broken. Oh well. I'll get on that.
So, yes. So join us, please. And remember, that's our speculation, our disclaimer. Thank you very much for tuning in on that one. So anything out there, folks? Anything about the Archai or what you'd like to see with Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, please throw it your way.
And
the screenshots you're seeing in the background, too, I threw some art in there. There's concept art. There's actual screenshots of the current game in process. I might throw some early stages of the game where they were in Unity 3 and before Unity 3, just to give some of those graphically inclined people thinking that the game's graphics are crazy. Well, they've actually, believe it or not, phased the graphics slowly over time. So remember, the game is not in its final production. It's not even in alpha yet. So it's pre-alpha. So remember that, folks.
And plus, if you haven't already heard it yet, guys, I'm going to link you our contest that is going on until the 18th of August, 4 p.m. Eastern Time is the last time you can enter your competition entry to us. There's the link to the site. Read through that. You can win 2 nights pledges. We have 2 nights pledges to give away. So write up a nice story, D&D kind of story about the 4 of us, Kodiak, Lexa, me, and Delinzia, as we go into Black Dagger Keep. And 5 pages is the maximum it can be. 2 pages is the minimum it has to be. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. Even if you aren't the writer or anything like that, there's always a chance we might like your story no matter what, and you could become a lucky winner of a night's pledge and get yourself some cool goodies to go with that to get into the game, into alpha and beta testing.
Yes. And Master Pants just had a question. Will the Archai be restricted to white hair? I don't think so. I think they'll be able to choose from different color
That's very
hair.
doubtful.
Yep.
I do believe we will see multiple shades. The basic shades may be restricted, but we'll see a couple options between them.
I'm going to have a nice female Archai with pink hair.
There you go. That's always good. I'm going to have a punk rocker dark mirror.
There we go. Lemon shots time. Dark Soul Omega.
Yes.
Any
We're
Lexor.
gonna
seven
have to
shots.
hold off.
Uh-oh.
What?
What? Uh-oh.
We're
I
gonna
gotta
have to hold
reserve
off.
these?
Yep.
Oh,
You're gonna have
yes.
to reserve if you reserve these until I get back. You're gonna have to add at least 4 shots for every week I'm not
We
there.
have to claim interest, so we're gonna have to put interest on top of
No,
this.
no interest.
Yes, we're gonna have to put interest. So half a shot interest.
Okay, that I can
per
do.
week we have to delay, so half a shot interest. Okay, so folks, I also have our VOT store stuff, and one of our mugs came in, the Voices of Terminus. Hit points matter, right there. And rest
Just
in
answer
peace,
quickly
Lexor.
Question while you're showing the stuff. Killer Age, we do not know exactly what the raid size in Pantheon is going to be. I speculate myself that it will be different sizes. I think they're going to have an option for different sizes of raids depending on what kind of
Yeah,
raid or you're
I
going to
think
go
that'll be
in the
determined
MMO
by the mob in the zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. In
And
the
for
MMO
Kodiak.
industry, we're seeing a gradual decline on the size of raids just for ease of access.
Yep.
Although I'm not saying that there won't be larger ones, I'm almost positive we're going to see smaller than EverQuest.
Yes. I agree to that, sure. I was distracted by holding up mugs. That's a nice set of mugs
I
you
hope they
got
do.
there.
I hope they do have different size. They have a 20-man, 40-man,
Yeah,
80-man.
It gives
16-ounce mugs too, by the way, folks. Just
It
so you
gives-
know, they're
it
quite
gives-
large.
it gives smaller guilds the opportunity to go out and raid as well. And I kind of like the mix-up because it does give you opportunities to compensate when, let's say, for instance, something does happen within the raid force or the guild that enough people ain't there, so you can't go and do this 24-man raid. So you've only
Yeah.
got 16 people on, so you can go do the 16-man raid.
Yeah.
I'm actually open to that.
I'd be open to, okay, so like in a level 20 zone or area, maybe it is a 20-man raid. In a level 30 area, maybe it's a 40-man raid, and so on. And it grows as
Yeah.
you get older and whatever. So once you hit max level, now those when you do the huge epic raids, the huge.
Yeah.
And we may
Right.
even see a lot of the almost the Guild Wars 2-esque large open raids. I mean, we don't know yet. I'm almost positive we'll probably see something akin to that.
Ox has a question about the race, so I'm going to go and read this question real quick, and I've already got an idea. This is really cool. So how did the race get to Terminus? Well, since they lived on a planet like Krypton, for instance, I'm just going to throw it out there, and they have all these different crystals. Basically, these crystals, when the world got destroyed and everything, these crystals with super light speed came shooting down all over Terminus, spread out and everything. That's why we have to go out physically. There's a few Archai imbued into these crystals so they don't get damaged. They regrew their race and everything. And now they have to go out and find all these shard pieces that are spread out throughout the world and bring them home to their little home. And that's how they got there, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an idea.
That or a
I kind of wish
meteor.
that each race's lore went a little more in depth.
I want to know if there is actually a race that is born on Terminus.
You know,
Humans,
that's a good question, but I'm gonna say too they'll probably unleash a lot of the lore story through like different little books and collectible notes throughout the game, because then
Yeah.
that would also be too a quest thing that you can actually go on to find more about the race, your race, so it could become an epic quest as well. And as you put these tomes together, maybe you're building an awesome super weapon, for your
So
epic
obviously
weapon.
Auxilian wasn't happy with my idea of how they got to Terminus. He says cue the music.
No, I think he cued the music for Lexor. Lexor must die, or rest in peace, Lexor. So we got to either play him taps or Amazing Grace. What do you think? So, yes.
I want heavy metal at my funeral.
Oh, and he asked, and did the people that enslaved them get to Terminus?
We haven't had any
did.
indication about
No.
that yet.
According to the lore,
Well,
and
okay.
I'll read it one more time. The lore here, just to give you an idea about the race. It says here, they originally created from another race of pure magical energy. and they were deconstructed and recomposed by the vile followers of Roa's Dark. So there's some sort of follower who worships Roa's Dark Celestial Lord.
Maybe
So-
Suoro did make it onto Terminus.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say if it would only make sense that some people came along with them, but maybe they aren't in power anymore because they fought back, but they're still there. They may have that may be like within their zone. That might be the faction that they're battling against.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to find out.
Yeah, it's gonna be
So,
interesting. So kind of
If the
Darth
lore
Vader-like.
people are gonna watch this, we need more lore.
We need more lore.
Please?
Devs, please, could we steal some lore? Some lore.
I
But
mean,
then
you
of
got
course
9
we like the
races.
patch notes. Yeah, we like the
Yeah,
patch
you've got
notes.
9
though.
races, and then all the other bits of lore we're going to go through, but that's going to be super fast. We're
Actually,
going through this.
we
We're
do
going
pretty
through this
good.
pretty good.
we're doing pretty good. Brad more lore. Yep, Brad more lore. Well, we have to
Yeah,
get
otherwise-
Brad or one of the devs on, so we're still working on that, folks. Believe it or not, we're actually working behind the scenes to get them in. It's just they've been so busy right now.
Yep.
We are trying to get them in, so as soon as we get one in, we're hoping to try to get an environmental artist first, and then we'll try to get the big fish Brad. I know everybody's looking forward to that, so we're hoping to get an environmental artist, maybe one of the other developers, explain what they do, but also kind of explain to you folks, especially if you don't follow a lot of games and you don't know actually what's goes on behind the scenes to make a game. We'll be able to answer some of those questions and stuff like that. So,
Yep.
We're working on it. Trust us. We're getting them as soon as we can. We're working with PR, the public relations officer. So,
Doing what we can.
yep, doing what we can because we want to bring them to you.
I mean, there's still
followers.
a lot of great people from Visionary Realms that we want to talk to. I mean, the environmental artist, he's popped into chat a couple times. I would love to get him on here.
Oh yes, that'd be awesome. Love to see him actually
Or
on the
her.
show
I don't
and
know if
talk
it's
about it. Or her.
him or her, but
He's a guy.
He's a guy. He's a dude.
I want Jopper. I want to talk to the music
And then we
guy.
get the music guy too, and then we can like have him bring some cool music or something. I
Yep,
don't know, or some
Yep,
sound effects.
That
That'd be
awesome. Yep. I'd love to have
Ding.
Jopper on the
Yeah. So,
show.
but yeah, we're definitely working on it, folks. We're kicking this can down the road, trying to get them on here. But like I said, as soon as they get some free time in their schedule, hopefully we'll have them here.
Yep.
So, definitely working on it for you guys because we like to know some things too and talk to them too.
So,
well, you guys are looking out for them. I'm a Dire Lord. I'm only
Ta-da.
interested in me.
Ta-da. But yes, please visit the VOTstore.com when you pre-order or you order. A lot of our stuff's in now. Remember that Lex will have to drink a lemon shot for every pre-order that you make. So remember that.
and here's the link to YouTube, our YouTube channel.
Yes, follow our YouTube channel.
And I'll give you guys our Twitter channel.
Cool.
This is our Twitter.
Yes. Somebody is messaging me. All right, Kodiak, you can like escape now. Run! Do you want to do your final thoughts? Go ahead and do your final thoughts before you run out of here, so folks can hear it.
Final thoughts is that we need more lore. I mean, this, like I said, this race can go any direction. It has like endless possibilities. But it's going to be awesome to see it unfold.
Okay, cool.
All right. Then.
All right, Lex,
Cool.
your final thoughts?
Well, it's definitely one of the more interesting races for sure, at least from my perspective. We do definitely need more. Well, I could say more of anything, really, because we just need more, period. But I think getting more lore out to the public at this point would be a very, very good step for them to kind of help wet our whistles a little bit, or whet our appetites. With what we know of the Archai, I'm sure we're going to see a little more. Oh, personally, I think we're going to see a little more of the melee side of things versus the caster side of things. But again, pure speculation. Have no idea. And if they do anything along the lines of racial quests, I think that's going to be an incredible amount of fun.
Cool. It does. It sounds like it'd be cool. And Yarnilla.
Well, just getting back onto the lore part, guys. I remember them saying in the last stream that they currently only have, I think, the human. So what they've worked on. So I think that's all going to come once they finalize their general ideas behind it. So We'll just have to wait it out. Last thoughts are, I won't be here for the next 2 weeks, guys. I am going to go and burn in hell in Italy for 2 weeks. So please look after Lexa, Delinzia, and Kodiak for me while I'm gone. Don't give them a hard time.
Don't let Val
And
beat me.
thanks for supporting us, guys. We really, really appreciate it. We try and bring you as much of a good show that we can with the little information that we have. Please follow us on Twitter, on YouTube, join our Discord channel, follow us on Twitch, and I can't wait to get back to you guys. I'll be back on the 14th, so on the 18th is the next show. 18th of August is when I will be back on stream. So enjoy the time with these two guys, Lexa and Dow.
Yep.
And thanks for watching again.
Yeah, you'll be stuck with us too for next week. So haha. But anyways, my last final thoughts. It sounds like the Archai are going to be a really cool race to play with. It sounds like they're going to have some interesting concepts working with it as far as mana climates, atmospheres affecting you by the ability or ethereal energy like iron, molten lava, air, wind, fire, and water that you can pick. So it definitely sounds cool. You know, it's a lot of this is all speculation, guys. We really appreciate you joining in on us and listening to our speculation and adding to the conversation. We really do want to hear from you guys, the audience, and your opinions, our fans, because you guys support us. We keep doing this because of you guys showing up here. So bring your friends, promote us out there, throw us out there, let them know that here's an opportunity to come here, voice your opinion about the game, give your input, because the developers will watch our show. They do watch our show. I don't know how many times I can say that, but they do, because they want to get feedback from you guys as the community, and they listen. And these developers are actually listening. So, you know, give them constructive feedback, constructive criticism. They appreciate it very much that you're supporting them, because that's what keeps them driving forward with the game and bringing it to us, the fans. So please make a pledge if you haven't already pledged at PantheonMMO.com. You know, sign up, go to the forums, you know, learn a little bit more about the devs and, you know, the game. So, but anyways, other than that, you will see me and Lexor next week. Like Yarno said, he'll be on vacation, so please take it easy on us. We don't want you to abuse us. It'll be a two-man show. Hopefully we'll get Kodiak to show his mug on here. We don't know. We'll see. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for your support. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, all that jazz, our Discord channel. And don't forget about the contest. And yes, Young and Dead, you can write a story about us anywhere, any place, anytime, and give it to us, but it won't be part of the contest, obviously. So, once again, guys, thanks a lot. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.